Okay, so look, there's a couple of things with this story. And it has to deal with Megyn Kelly calling out Jake Tapper to his face for being a grifter. Oh my goodness. Again, that word is used a lot. The word is used a lot in this day and age. And I think it's important for us to understand, just what's going on here, because this also has to deal with Joe Biden, his mental deterioration, and of course him, having cancer. And I think it's important that we do address this problem with the entire media circle, because for far too long, I think a lot of people are just so used to the idea that, oh, well, our media knows what they're doing. These are professional people. But look, if I have my videos, or if I see Due Dissonance or Jimmy Dore or RBN or Savvy or anybody else, Kim Iverson, Larry Sharp, all my friends in independent media, no sound bites, if I'm seeing all of them getting hit with the same kind of form and one or the other of calling out Biden, especially during the 4 years, or that was fake news, well, now the facts are true. What we've been saying was factually correct, that Joe Biden was deteriorating away. So I want to play this video here. Jakey, tell us about your fantastic book.
I did ask Joe Biden to be transparent about his health records in an interview in 2020. I did ask him about the fact that voters
but then he wasn't.
Thought that he was not transparent at all. No,
he promised you that he would be transparent about his health records, and then he wasn't. And when you sat with him again,
at all,
including 1 month after the Jackie Walorski thing, you didn't ask him about it. You didn't follow up on the fact that he was falling up the stairs, that he was losing his train of thought regularly, that he was slurring, that he was incomprehensible, that he was getting lost on the White House lawn. You sat right across from him and you asked none of that, notwithstanding the fact that he had promised you he would be fully transparent about his health issues.
That's true. But I did ask him about his age and the fact that the American people had concluded that, even though he said whenever anybody brought up the subject of his age,
Yeah, dude, but God, even before your interview, Jesus, I saw it in 2019, 2020 during the election cycle. Joe Biden wasn't there. Look, as someone who has seen his elder relatives pass away or eventually fall apart, like, you see the signs, even if, okay, because look, there are senior citizens who are so physically fit, they're walking like they are 30 years old, and they got that pop of the walk, and good on them. Vast majority of senior citizens, even if they're not, suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, their body is deteriorating. You see it. Now, Joe Biden, he exhibited two things: a body deteriorating and a mind deteriorating. You see it. Everybody in my audience, everybody, I don't care where you politically stand or what generation you're part of, you saw Joe Biden falling apart and looking confused. We've seen it. You've seen it. Be it affected you on a personal level or somebody who's a friend. You saw it. You saw it. There's no denying it. This isn't open for a debate. And the media formed a Greek phalanx shield wall around it. Well, that shield wall has been broken under the Roman legion of truth.
Watch me. And I said,
yes,
they're watching you and they are concerned that you were too old for this job.
But you know as well as I do that there's a way of, you can say, hey, there's this poll on your age, or you could say, you just forgot that Jackie Walorski was dead. You asked where she was moments after watching a videotape tribute to her. You lowered the flags at the White House after she died. This happened 13 days before you sat with him. There is a way of pressing a man like that on the actual infirmities to bring it home to him and to the audience, and you didn't do it.
That's correct. I didn't. And like I said, I feel humility about my coverage. It's not like I was asking him his favorite movie or his favorite color. We were talking about Putin. We were talking about other issues of national importance. But yeah, of course, I've said I look back at my coverage with humility, and I wish I did cover the issues of age and acuity, but I wish I had covered them much more. And I wish, of course, it's May 2025. Do I wish that in that 10, 15-minute interview I had with Biden in October 2022, that this had been the only subject? Because I had then
well, it wasn't just that
now.
Though, Jake.
Come on, look, wish. Look, okay, listen, if you want to make a wish, let's gather the Dragon Balls, all right? Let's gather all 7 of them, and we can make 3 wishes, okay? Jake, if you want to go back in time and wish you did your interview differently, fine. I'm gonna go back in time, and I don't know, this time finally win all the lottery numbers, okay? Just constantly keep on winning the lottery. Boom, I'll be a multi-billionaire. Wouldn't that be great, huh? But I'll probably be a crazy person. I'm gonna build a submersible that's gonna go to the bottom of the ocean and not follow any kind of rules whatsoever. What could go wrong? Okay, look, you can't sit here and wish and wish and wish, but in 2022, everybody saw that Biden wasn't there. Wish, I wish, I wish. Great.
It wasn't just that. I mean, you sat with him a couple of times in the course of his presidency, and these issues were not pressed. Well, there was at least that time, and then there was the time at the beginning. And but separate and apart from that, you covered the Biden's presidency. No. Let me just finish my point. You covered the Biden presidency.
I had one interview with him
and it was
during
13 days after the Jackie Walorski thing. But you covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. I mean, time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president. You didn't seem interested. Well, I mean, we'll start with the Lara Trump issue that you referred. Here it is. This happened in 2020.
Joe Biden, as we all know, has worked to overcome a stutter. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
you are
to watch somebody on stage search for
so
questions.
amazing.
You're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were
stuttering.
mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
And it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure it was from a place of concern. We all believe that. Lara Trump, thank you so much.
Do you want to apologize to Lara Trump now?
I've already apologized to her. I called her.
No, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to apologize. Come on. He doesn't want to.
Months ago.
And what did she say?
I mean, I don't want to disclose the contents of a private conversation, but I thought the conversation went well. And she has said this publicly, so I feel fine sharing it. She said that she would never mock anybody's stutter. But I mean, after we did the research for this book, and I realized how bad his acuity issues were, I called Lara Trump and I said, you were right.
She was totally right. That's the thing, because when I watched that clip, and I'm giving voice to what a lot of people watching the show are feeling, Jake, I feel angry because she was right. And not only did you not allow her to make her comments, but you seemed to try to humiliate her. You had a hostility toward the position, but she was totally right. And then you lectured her on how she was in no position to diagnose cognitive decline, which you guys do at length, including on page 4 of your book. You describe at length his cognitive decline, which is all.
So the thing is, I find it interesting that so many people are now coming out with a book saying, "Oh, I can't believe this happened. Look, here. I want to show something to all of you. A little bit different here. Just a little bit different. All right. And again, I'm keeping this message up here. Time to gather the Dragon Balls because he wishes things would be different. Here, 2023, 2025.
There's no evidence to support the allegation my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen. There's no fairness or decency in what these Republicans are doing. And I do have to say, whatever you think of Hunter Biden, and there's certainly a lot of people in this town, Democrats and Republicans, that do not think a lot of him, there is a certain kind of cruelty to the campaign against him. Where is Hunter? Where is Hunter? Where is Hunter? Hunter was driving the decision making for the family in a way that he was almost like a chief of staff of the family.
Does that strike you as pretty bizarre?
It's bizarre because I think he is provably, demonstrably unethical, sleazy, and prone to horrible decisions.
Wow, Jake. That's a way different tone. Almost like how corporate media is kind of like eating crow when all of corporate media was saying, "Oh yeah, the Hunter Biden laptop story isn't true."
Tell me how you really feel.
Well, I mean, just look at the record. I mean, after his brother died, he cheated on his wife with his brother's widow and then got her addicted to crack. That's just one thing.
Ugh, God, I forgot about that. Hold on, but one other thing here too. Just want to pull this up here, okay? All right, because you know, Joe Biden suffering from a lot of mental decline, physical decline. I want to pull up this video here too. Just throwing it out here because you know, all of independent media, we called this out here. We called this out here that something was wrong with Biden, and it turns out we were correct. You know, to quote Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park when the T-Rex broke out of the pen, I'm really starting to hate it when I'm right.
So it turns out Joe Biden has cancer, but it's worse than that because it turns out this has been an unbelievably huge cover up. So here's what he says. Last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of prostate nodule after experiencing increased urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone. Lucky he has the kind of cancer that keeps you from being indicted. And I'm not one of those comics who's going to hit you while you're down with a comment like, and the biggest mystery of all is how cancer would have found its way to the a-hole of such a nice guy. But I will do an impression of one of those comedians. What's the big problem? The big problem is prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts and to watch it progress to bone metastasis. The PSA blood test shows the rate of cancer cell growth.
Jesus.
Or even with the most aggressive form, it is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic, meaning it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May of 2005. It is highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed. So the deep state, the establishment, the billionaires who actually run your country knew they had a demented guy. This is in 2019, 2020. They knew they had a demented guy who had prostate cancer, and they kept it from you because they needed to get power. They could not let Donald Trump win. That's what this is about. Joe Biden was given a clean bill of health in July of just last year. How did they miss this? I guess they didn't give him the Diddy hard-boiled egg test. This is Joe Biden in 2022 slipping up and letting people know he has cancer. This is what a demented person does, forgets that they're supposed to lie.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
He knew. I saw someone on Twitter say, no, that was a gaffe.
Yeah, a gaffe. Oh no, turns out no, there was. No, turns out Biden wasn't all there. And people like Jake Tapper and corporate media, in my opinion, didn't do their due diligence. Thankfully, there's Hard Lens Media, Due Dissidents, Jimmy Dore, Sepasayabs, RBN, INN, Kim Iverson, Larry Sharp to do the due dissidents, the due diligence. I said due dissidents. Due diligence. I meant to say due diligence to do the job. And all of you too. I mean, come on, folks. Did you really think Biden was all there?
All she tried to do with you, but you had such a visceral reaction to her. And my feeling is that's because you didn't want to hear it.
No, I mean, I'm happy to talk about this. I didn't come here thinking that you weren't going to ask me about this. So I'm happy to talk to you about it.
No, I know.
The first time I saw the coverage of Lara Trump's comments, which were interpreted as her mocking Joe Biden's stutter, was in January 2020. I read it in conservative media. I read it in the Daily Mail. And that's where I saw that her comments were being interpreted that way. After those comments were publicized, it got a lot of coverage. And Sully Sullenberger wrote an op-ed in the New York Times criticizing her about this. So that's the context for that, that I was following up on a story that had been out there months before. This is also in the context of October 2020, a very intense time. People on the Biden side are saying crazy things about Trump. People on the Trump side are saying crazy things about Biden, including
No, well, yeah, the crazy things about Biden, about him not being there. I mean, no, that is based in fact. He wasn't there.
Don Jr. suggesting that Joe Biden is a pedophile. So that is the larger context. But as I said, her comments have aged well. My comments have aged poorly. I own that. But I think what is significant is, in addition to me owning that, the reporting that Alex and I have done, which is beyond just, and when I say just, I don't mean to diminish it, but the comments of Joe Biden.
Jake is talking softly like this, Cat, because he knows he's been caught. He knows he's been exposed. His pants are down. Okay? Like literally, he's got that brown, in my opinion. Okay? First you take a dump in your pants. Then you do the crap yourself dance. Round and round you will prance. When you do the crap yourself dance. I mean, this is who Jake Tapper is. Okay? Jake Tapper right now is, and everyone else in corporate media has to own for the fact is that they went to bat for Joe Biden being mentally sound. All right. Every single one of you blindfolded with one arm, you could probably find a treasure trove of videos of how corporate media went ahead and covered up Biden's mental decline. Okay. Say whatever you will about Donald Trump. Okay. The way the media, the way Democrats vote blue no matter who, and the censorship machine did everything they could to protect Joe Biden. I mean, it is incredible. And remember, folks, there's a lot of old politicians in office right now that are deteriorating before our very eyes. Some are in old folks' homes. What I'm saying here isn't shocking. We all know it. Can we stop pretending? Oh, wait, hold on. That's how the system works. Pretend everything's fine.
Biden making gaffes, saying things stupid, tripping, are all important and all deserved to be aired and all deserve scrutiny. But as you know, Megyn, because even though you look 30 years younger than me, we're roughly the same age. Joe Biden has been saying.
Why'd you make that comment about her age? Why'd you do that, Jake? Hold on, rewind that.
Because even though you look 30 years younger than me, we're roughly the same age. Joe Biden has been saying stupid things for decades. Okay.
I get what you're saying, but this minimizes it too, because it was more than saying stupid things. But I'm telling you, like over here in my ecosphere, we were covering all of these. It wasn't just falling down. It was getting lost. It was some of the stuff you report in your book. We knew, and we were reporting on, like the multi-jump cuts in the videos of him, where it was obvious he couldn't get through a 1-minute take. So they had to use those. It was clear to us that he was using teleprompter and there was some reporting on that at the time, all of which the White House was denying. Now, with the current White House, I have some connections. With the Joe Biden White House, I had none, but you did. You did. And so while you've been in Washington 30 years, Jake, you guys, you and CNN have White House connections, but there was no effort. None to get to the bottom of this. And now for you guys to write this book, like there.
Well, yeah, you guys did. Stop being stupid. And plus, why'd you make that? Look, I might have a different opinion with Megyn Kelly here, but that was a really creepy remark about her age. Anyways, I don't know. I won't dig too deep into that, but that was way off topic. I feel sorry for the guy right here on the side. It's like, oh, mommy and daddy are fighting.
There was a cover up. It's like there was a cover up, and there was an attempted cover up. It could only ever work if you allowed it.
I did.
All right. And hold on, because now there's also other talk here. Senior Department of Justice official, Biden's wife should be charged with elder abuse. Jill Biden should face elder abuse charges. Okay. Now, I know people are saying that Jill is facing. No, should. Keyword is should. Face elder abuse charges if she pushed her husband Joe to run for presidency. I struggled with that. Why did I do that? Despite knowing about his cancer, Donald Trump's Department of Justice lawyer Leo Terrell has said last weekend the former U.S. president's office revealed that he had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. The announcement met with mixed reactions, with some offering condolences to Biden and his family, while others alleged the diagnosis had been long known but deliberately withheld from the public. Can you imagine if they actually withheld that information from him? I mean, how cruel. That's actually pretty evil. It's very evil, actually, when you think about it. Responding on X to a post by Ian Yeager on Monday, Terrell, a senior counsel to the Assistant Attorney General, told Civil Rights Flow the idea that the internet personality and political commentator directly claimed that Jill Biden knew about President Biden's health problems, but still wanted him to run for president. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of messed up. I mean, you have to see the signs there. According to Biden's office, the ex-president and his family are now reviewing treatment options with his physicians. The condition of the former president, who had been previously successfully cured of skin cancer, was confirmed during a routine physical examination. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasizes to the bone. So in other words, Biden doesn't have a long time left, okay? He doesn't. He doesn't have a long time left in this world. And that's what he has to face off against. And I want everyone to know this. Just real quick here. Just real quick here. A lot of corporate media still has to eat crow.
The criticism has...
Hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks. I pulled up the wrong video. I pulled up the wrong video. Sorry about that. I meant to pull up this video instead because there's two Joe Bidens, right? The two Joe Bidens. Let me go ahead and make sure I get this correct because I think I know where I messed up. So hold on. It has to deal. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Thank you. Thankfully, there's Case Study QB. Please be sure to follow him on all of his social media because he's doing the right thing. The one thing that everyone expects. He's calling out all of these jagoff people. And I think he's doing a great job. So let me make sure I get this. But if not, I might have misread it. Which, if that's the case, whoopsie doopsie on me. Let me make sure I got that. If it's not Case Study QB, it's here. Screwing this up live on air. But it is fascinating to see how so many people have went to bat for Joe Biden, how so many people felt that Joe Biden was physically fit for the job, and how so many people felt that no matter what, if you did question Biden's mental acuity, that somehow you were all these things and more, that you were a bad person, that you were being evil and vile, and that you were helping contribute to Donald Trump winning the presidency, which I will point out again here. First of all, the people that cost the Democrats the presidency was the Democrats themselves. And even if Joe Biden were to win, hypothetically, even if Joe Biden were to win, he would have to step down. All right. If this news came out now, the cancer's in his bones. I mean, he's not physically fit to be president. He's not physically fit to be commander in chief. And then can you imagine if he won, the pushback, or if there would be any type of pushback? So I want to pull this up here, and it's not from Case Study QB. It's actually from Hotspot. It's from our friends from The View. I know. I'm so sorry. I should not expose this to you guys. It's not right. Technically, this is violence. All right. But Whoopi Goldberg is upset that no one informed her Biden was unfit to run for office. Didn't you have him on your show? Didn't his wife speak for him?
The trust issue.
There has always been a mass trust issue because politicians, media, nobody does what they're supposed to do. Now, I say, for me, listen, he's 83, so he's a little stumbly, he's a little rumbly. I can't point to anything that he's done as that he did.
No, but that he was running for his next 4 years.
But I'm saying, I want, not you, but I want somebody to tell me, well, when did you know it was bad? If
from 2019. From 2019. That's when I knew it was pretty bad. You know? That's when I knew. That's when you knew. That's when everybody knew. We all knew. Everybody knew. Like, I mean, how much more simpler do we have to break this down here, folks? I mean, this is we all saw it. She's asking, when did you know? Everybody knew. It's just everyone who talked about it was censored.
As that he did.
No, that he was running for his next 4 years.
But I'm saying, I want, not you, But I want somebody to tell me, well, when did you know it was bad? If you knew, why did you wait?
Yeah.
So
Can I answer that?
Can I get in
He
for a
said that it
second?
was after he moderated the debate.
Can I
Yes,
get in?
but that's not, I'm sorry, baby. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're telling me that hundreds of people knew that he was not able to do his job, then where the hell was everybody?
He did his job. The trust issue with the voter.
So yes, there's always been a trust issue. Absolutely, there's always been a trust issue with Democrats. Okay, yeah, well done, well played, Democrats, with your big brain tactics. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, everyone's now pretending and shocked, like, oh yeah, no, we never meant for this to happen. We're so sorry. Please forgive us. How can we forgive you? How can we even trust you when you guys were participating in the cover-up? And it was a terrible cover-up as it is. I mean, Joe Biden wasn't there. He was not there. He was not there. How much more simpler do we have to make it again? Everybody knew. Come on. I like how everyone's coming up with a new narrative. We're being lied to in real time. Even George Orwell couldn't write something this dystopian. Friedrich Nietzsche. That's right. Friedrich Nietzsche would be looking at us like, oh my goodness, look at all of you. Ray Bradbury, who wrote his fair share of science fiction short stories and novels, would be like, really? Y'all are letting them do this to you? Even all the old school writers from The Twilight Zone and Outer Limits. Hell, even the writers for Black Mirror are probably wondering like, oh, didn't we do shows warning you people not to let these grim, dark scenarios happen to you? And yet, here we are. Keep your heads on a swivel here, you beautiful people. It's only going to get crazier, okay? That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Trust me on it, folks. It's only going to get crazier.